Hello everyone, Lights and Gear is back with another review, and today is another new flashlight from the folks at Sofirn. If you've seen any of the other videos of Sofirn lights, they all have pretty much the same box, so that's the generic part of a Sofirn light, is their packaging. Now today we have the Sofirn SC31B, and this is another incarnation of the style of light which Sofirn has become familiar with. That is the brand of EDC lights. And some of the other videos I've done with the previous models, if you know anything about them, you'll say that they all look pretty much the same, and they do have similar stylings, absolutely, with slight variations each time they release another version. And the 31B is different from some of the previously released versions in the sense that the switch on the side is about 2 to 3 times larger, 4 times larger in some situations. So that's one thing you notice right away, is the large button, and it's textured. So it's much easier to find in the dark than some of the previous versions of Sofirn lights. And I believe what's also different about this particular one is that it has a different type of LED. I think this is the first one which is using a luminous LED and not a Cree LED. This is the Luminux SST-20, and it has quite a little beam on it. It's a very small LED, and you can check on that on the Luminous website. But the differences of this light being the button and the LED, and this also has an orange peel reflector, and most orange peel reflectors usually allow the beam to be a little bit more floody in nature, but this one is quite focused and actually has a longer beam distance than some of the previous lights. So that's a couple of the differences between the 31B. Other than that, it looks a lot the same. It does tail stand beautifully, has the pocket clip already attached, and here are the accessories, which again are pretty much, I believe, identical to the other lights. I'd have to look back and see, but here you have a lanyard and a couple of spare O-rings. That's standard, and it is USB rechargeable, so here is the USB cable, which is a standard cable, not a USB-C. And here's the manual. So those are what you get with the light. Oh, there's also a battery included, which is inside the light when you get it, protected so it's not going to go on. But anyway, this is it's not a very powerful battery. It's a 2200 mAh, which is reasonably low as far as 18650s go, but it is a Sofirn battery. It's a pretty good quality, so they give you the battery and I wouldn't sneeze at it at all. So again, here's the Sofirn 18650 rechargeable, which is included in the package. I'll put the battery back in the light, and here's the tail cap in here with a nice spring, and inside the head you'll find the same type of spring, meaning that any battery of variance in size will fit okay in the light and shouldn't give you a problem, seeing as that it has a spring in both ends, and it will also accept flat heads as well as button top batteries. So there you go. Body-wise, it is hard anodized, and of course is resistant to scratches. It has, again, the styling is so similar to some of the other lights, so body-wise is, again, the same as most of the others, and you have reasonably good knurling here along the outside, so no problems in handling this with cold or wet hands or anything. Here is your USB on the other side, of course. Just pull the flap up, and you have the connector right there. And we'll talk about some of the operations of it here as we look at the outside of the manual. Now there are 4 operating modes plus strobe. There's no SOS or beacon mode or any other types of flash modes. Strobe is the only flashing mode. So here's the English portion of the manual, and it does describe here the working voltage, which goes to 4.2. So an 18650 is the only size battery that the light will accept. Do not attempt to use 16340s or even CR123s, because that will be too much voltage for the light to handle. You know, you get your basic information here. The lens, of course, is toughened mineral glass, and it's impact resistant, and it's also IPX8 waterproof, so it is submersible. And as far as the output is concerned, you have economy, low, medium, and high. They don't put a turbo on here. The highest output on high is 1,000 lumens, so it's pretty respectable in what it does, but it has good brightness to it due to the LED and so forth. So, and with economy you get 10 lumens, low is about 150, medium is 400, and high is 1,000. It talks about the beam distance here on the various modes and so forth. I will show you the beam here obviously in a second. Now there's a blue illuminator underneath the switch, so as soon as you turn it on you'll get the illumination here for about 5 seconds, and as long as it's solid, that tells you that the battery is of good form and is well charged. I think it has to go almost down to about 3 volts before the illumination will flash when you turn it on to let you know that the battery is getting low. At that point it'll be a slow flash, and it has to get below 3 volts before it starts flashing rapidly to let you know that you have to change the battery right away. And of course you will know that anyway, because you won't get a whole lot of output out of it. Now the manual does indicate that after the light has been on for 3 minutes on high, it will automatically step down to about medium. I left it on for 5 minutes on high, and although the light was getting excruciatingly hot to touch, especially up in the head portion here, of course, I did not see visually to the naked eye that much of a discernible drop in output. So I'm not going to say they're not telling the truth when they say it drops to medium, but I was quite surprised. I would have thought that there would have been more of a visual drop, seeing as it was going from roughly, well, medium is supposed to be 400, so if it was dropping from 1,000 to 400, I assumed that I was going to see more of a drop, but to the naked eye I couldn't really see that much of a difference. So if it does it incrementally or slowly, it's not that noticeable. You'd have to put a light meter up against it to make a you know, an educated determination on that. And it also has a breathing mode, and to get to that, I believe you press and hold the switch when it's off, and then the blue will come on and then start doing its little breathing flash here. So that's supposed to be something for you to be able to find the light in the dark, should you need to find it in the dark before you turn it on. So that's the breathing mode, and then to turn it off you just give it a press. Now as far as the charging portion of the light goes, I did briefly show you here before that of course you have the USB port on the other side of the switch. So just connect any standard USB cable, or of course the one they give you, to the slot here and plug that in. As soon as you do, the blue indicator underneath the switch will start to illuminate, and it will flash as long as it's in charging mode. And then as soon as the battery is full and the charge is complete, the flashing will go steady. So that's your indicator that the battery is full. I did run this against a USB tester just to see what kind of an input the battery was getting as far as milliamps and so forth while it was charging. I didn't do it for very long, but I got just under 500 mAh in it, which wasn't terribly fast, but it'll certainly do the job on the battery that they've supplied. So to operate the light, it's very, very simple. You just give it a press, and then you've got instant light. So let me turn the light off here, and I'll show you the outdoor pictures here coming up. But it's a very, the beam is rather focused, a little more focused than some of the previous Sofirn lights of this size. Right now I believe we are on the economy mode, and economy is quite bright. So even in pitch dark, you'll have absolutely no problem seeing your way around. To change the mode, you press and hold. So I believe this would be low. Here's medium, and here's high. So at about 1,000 lumens, and with the LED being pretty focused, it almost gives you, well, it certainly gives you a bright center spot. There's no doubt about that. And as far as the distance, it does very well for a light of this size getting out there. Now the head is already starting to get a little bit warm as I'm holding on to it here. So that's how quickly it starts to heat up on high. Now if I give it a press, it'll just turn off. So if I wanted to, and it has mode memory of course, so it will always remember the last mode it was on. So pressing and holding will go back down to economy. And if I want strobe, I just give it a double click, and there's your strobe, and it's variable, so it changes frequencies, which is good for attack purposes or to startle someone if they need to be startled. So this is variable strobe. Give it one press again and it returns to the mode it was at before. It's an extremely simple to operate light. Anybody even with minimal LED flashlight experience should be able to pick this up within a matter of minutes and operate it like a pro, because it's so simple to use. And those are the modes. I mean, those are the only modes you get on it. I mean, this is an economy priced flashlight, and it has useful features but doesn't go overboard. So there is no instant access to any particular mode. The only instant access, well, the only instant access you get is strobe. That's the only one which you can get to in a hurry. There's no instant access to high, and there's no instant access to low, like on some of the other lights. You just have to turn it on and press and hold to get to the mode you want to get to. But so that's the basics of the operation. Let's take it outside here and see what we see. See what we see out in the out of doors, huh? Let's try that now. And there you go. Hope those pictures gave you some insight as to how you'd be able to use the SC31B outside. I like this flashlight. I've had no problem with any of the Sofirn lights that I have tried out, and I believe I've recommended them all because they've all had their place in the world of LED flashlights, and all do a pretty good job. I mean, they all do a very good job, I'd say, for the price and for what you get in them, and the quality that they've put into them, I think is all very good. As I said before, this button here is textured, and it's a lot easier to find in the dark than a couple of their other lights were, where you sort of find yourself fishing around like this to find the button. So bringing it, enlarging it has certainly helped in that regard. There is a link below if you'd like to pick this up on Amazon, and of course you can read my full review and see some additional outdoor shots. The link is below for that, and you can also pick one up at my written review as well. If you have any questions or comments on the Sofirn SC31B, by all means let me know below. And that's it for now. Hope you visit Lights and Gear for more flashlights, batteries, and chargers, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.